Chapter 1, The Heat That Bled the Sky, a ZombieFlyCO tale by Wil Dride. It began with the heat, not the kind that warms you. No, this was a suffocating, lung-curdling furnace, the kind of heat that settles into your bones and starts whispering to things that shouldn't be awake. The river was low, the air was still, the only movement was the ripple of time dragging its nails across the surface of the Grand. And then, the sky bled. They came without warning, a shimmer first high above the tree line, like oil slicks riding sunbeams. Then a hum, low, mechanical, unnatural. It built slowly, like the vibration of a distant engine idling at the gates of hell. That's when I saw them. Dozens, hundreds, no, thousands of beetles descending from some unholy column of shimmering green and gold, a living cloud of armor and instinct. The invasion had begun. I stood knee-deep in the Grand River's shallows, surrounded by the drone. These weren't the beetles of backyard gardens or lazy suburban decks. No, these were metallic juggernauts with legs like daggers and shells that pulsed with the colors of fire opals. Japanese beetles, a plague. You could smell the ozone off their wings. One landed on my neck and I flinched, swatting it into the current. It barely sank before vanishing, slurped from below like a breath from a sleeping god. The river stirred. It started with a boil near the far bank, then a sucking sound, slarp, followed by another. Ripples spider-webbed outward. The beetles were dropping like hail now, and something beneath the surface was waiting for them, feasting. I reached for my box with shaking hands. There, nestled among the foam-bodied frogs and unholy streamers, was the swarm. A fly I tied the night before in a heat-drunk haze, staring into a cup of bourbon and madness. Black foam for buoyancy, a shellback of green flash and iridescent wrap, legs of twitchy rubber, a dirty chartreuse tuft at the head. It wasn't a fly, it was a decoy, a beacon to call the monsters from below. I tied it on. The cast was short, just enough to land it in the thick of the carnage, where beetles bobbed like a battlefield of tiny drowned knights. The fly drifted, unmoving. My eyes burned in the sun. And then, something shifted. A swirl, a tremble in the line. Not a hit, a warning. The water collapsed inward and the river erupted. The take was violent, a cannonball from the abyss. The fly vanished in a geyser of spray, and the rod buckled so hard I thought the tip snapped. My reel shrieked. Line peeled out like a scream, burning my fingers. My heart punched my ribs. Whatever I had hooked, it was no fish. This was weight. This was will. This was a thing born of silt and darkness and age. The first run took 50 feet of line, and I could do nothing but hold on. Braced in the river like a man tied to a mast in a storm. My hands were shaking. Blood was already welling from a split knuckle. I didn't care. This was what I'd come for. Not a catch. Chapter 2, Leviathan Beneath the Willow, a ZombieFlyCO tale by Wil Dride. The first run stripped my spool bare. I was into backing faster than I could think. No time to breathe, no time to blink. Just hold. My boots slid on algae-slick rock as I lunged forward, the rod bent like a snapped rib. My arms screamed. The carp, if you could still call it that, was gone, headed downstream like a runaway freight car on fire. I stumbled into the river, past my knees, past my waist, dragged like a dog behind a truck. The line sliced the current like a wire through flesh. My reel spun so fast I could smell hot grease. I thought I'd lose it. The fish, the gear, maybe my wrist. But some savage part of me, old and primal, refused. I grit my teeth and leaned back. I shouted like a madman. No! The fish turned. Not because of me, because it chose to. It shot left, slamming into a submerged boulder and wrenching the line so hard I thought I felt my shoulder dislocate. I stumbled, coughing, cursing, blood dripping from where the reel handle had raked my knuckles. The river didn't care. Nothing in the river ever does. A willow arched over the water ahead, a crooked old thing, half dead, its roots strangled in mud. That's where it went. into the gloom, into the green cathedral where light drowned and monsters reigned. I followed, like a man chasing a ghost. The sun was above me, but I was in shade, dark, cool, silent, except for the squeal of my drag and the hiss of water parting. I saw a glimpse then, a roll, a flash of golden scale the size of my palm, a boil, the tail. My knees buckled. This wasn't a carp, this was Leviathan. I tried to slow it, side pressure. Rod low, praying the 12-pound tippet would hold. My rod bowed so hard it groaned in the cork. One mistake, and it was over. It charged again. The fly line lifted, high, arcing then plummeting toward the logjam beneath the willow. If she got under, she was gone. I plunged into the current, shoulder first, submerged up to my chest, braced against her run. My foot found a ledge. My fingers twisted the drag tight, a dangerous gamble. And then it happened. She surfaced. A black mirror breached the water, scale mottled and scarred like river stone. Her back was wide as a shovel blade, her eyes deep and unreadable. In that moment, time paused. I could see my reflection in her skin. The fly was still there, my beetle imitation stuck high in her rubbery upper lip. She saw me. I don't mean in the way animals see, I mean saw me, looked into me. That ancient eye blinked once, and I swear it judged me. Then she turned and ran again, drag ripped. I lost my footing, slammed into the shallows, rod tip high above me like a flag of surrender. The pain was distant now. My world was water, tension, and the low groan of the Grand as it watched. I crawled back to my feet. Somewhere between life and legend, I was tied to something far older than fear, something that had outlived generations. Chapter 3. The River Takes What It Wants, a ZombieFlyCO. Tale by Wil Dride. Time had stopped meaning anything. Minutes had turned to muscle memory. My arms were stone, my legs mud, but the beast was still on, and it still wanted more. The line trembled, each surge dragging me deeper into this hellish communion between man and monster. Every heartbeat was a threat, every breath a curse. I was no longer fishing. I was fighting. She wasn't just strong, she was deliberate, calculating. Every move burned line, every dive tested my soul. The river carved this creature from the dark, armored her in moss and time. She was a queen beneath the willow curtain, and I had dared to challenge her. The logjam had failed to claim her, but ahead was worse, the deep bend where currents swirled like a whirlpool of secrets. If she made it there, it was over. I wouldn't stop her. No one could. I tightened the drag. Too much. A gamble. My reel screamed as I leaned hard, the rod bent past reason. She resisted, tail kicked sideways. But I held. I held with blood in my teeth and salt in my eyes. Then she rose, not just a roll, a full breach, scales ablaze in the low sun, her back wide and bruised like a warhorse, mouth gaping. She was ancient, gorgeous, terrifying. This wasn't a carp, this was the Leviathan of the Grand. I fumbled for the net, useless. I dropped the rod, hooked my arms beneath her body and heaved. She kicked, water flew, my spine screamed, but she didn't bolt. She let me lift her, and in that second, cradled in blood-slick arms, heart thundering, I saw not a beast but a mirror, a reflection of something primal. I freed the fly from her lip without tearing. No photo, no glory, just breath. I lowered her back to the current, hands trembling. She flicked once, then twice, then vanished, leaving behind nothing but silence and a single strand of line floating in the air like a whisper. The beetles still fell, but one now ruled beneath them. And me, I sat there on the shale, soaked and broken, staring into the slow-moving water, not as a victor, not as a man who conquered, but as one who had survived. Because the river doesn't let you win, it lets you learn. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this monster fishtail, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to ZombieFlyCO. New twisted river legends and fly-tying madness drop regularly. Stay tuned. The next beast is always lurking.